was used to silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the heavy one that settles in after a house has lost its laughter. Ethan Cole sat behind the wheel of his black luxury SUV, watching snow fall softly onto the empty street. Christmas Eve lights blinked from every home he passed, warm and inviting, yet none of them belonged to him. In the back seat, his 7-year-old son slept, his small chest rising and falling, unaware of how lonely his father felt even with all the wealth in the world. Ethan was a millionaire, a man who had built an empire from nothing. But no amount of money had saved his marriage, and no success had filled the space his late wife left behind. Since her passing, Christmas had become just another date on the calendar. This year, he had decided to drive aimlessly after picking his son up from a school holiday event, hoping motion would quiet his thoughts. As he slowed at a red light near a row of closed shops, something caught his eye. Near a trash bin, under a flickering street lamp, a woman was digging through garbage bags with bare hands. Her coat was thin, her hair matted, her movements frantic, as if she were racing against hunger itself. Snow clung to her shoulders, melting into the fabric like tears. Ethan felt irritation rise first. He hated scenes like this. Not because of her, but because they reminded him that all his money had failed to fix the world, or his own pain. He was about to drive off when the woman suddenly stumbled, nearly falling to her knees. Something in that moment tightened his chest. Before he could talk himself out of it, Ethan parked and stepped out into the cold. The woman froze when she noticed him, her eyes wide with fear, ready to run. He raised his hands slowly, his voice calm. "It's okay, I'm not here to hurt you." She stared at him for a long second, then looked down, ashamed. "I'll leave," she said quietly. "I wasn't stealing, just looking." "You don't have to go," Ethan replied. "It's Christmas Eve. No one should be out here like this." She let out a bitter laugh. "Christmas doesn't change hunger." Those words hit him harder than he expected. He glanced back at the car, at his sleeping son, then back at her. "Are you hungry?" The woman hesitated, pride and desperation warring on her face. Finally, she nodded. "I haven't eaten since yesterday." Ethan opened the car and took out a warm takeaway bag he had barely touched earlier. "Here." She accepted it with shaking hands, as if afraid it might disappear. As she ate, tears streamed down her cheeks, unnoticed until one fell onto the food. Ethan stood silently, unsure what to say. After a moment, she looked up at him. "You don't look like someone who stops for people like me." "I don't," he admitted. "I almost didn't." She studied his face, then glanced at the car. "You have a child." "Yes, a son." She swallowed, then listened to me carefully. Her tone changed, steady and serious. Ethan felt his breath catch. "Hold him closer than you think you should," she said. "Because one day, the world will try to convince him he's alone, just like it did to me." Ethan felt as if the cold had seeped into his bones. "What do you mean?" "I had a family once," she said softly. "A husband, a little girl. Christmas was everything to us." Her eyes grew distant. "A drunk driver took them both. I lost my home after that. Lost myself too. People stopped seeing me as human long before I stopped seeing myself that way." Ethan couldn't speak. Her words cut through him, exposing wounds he never spoke of. "My wife died giving birth," he said quietly. "I've been afraid ever since, afraid of loving too deeply again." She looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time, she smiled, not with joy, but with understanding. "Love anyway," she said. "Or you'll wake up rich and empty. And your son will feel it, even if he never says a word." That was when it happened. Something inside Ethan cracked open. Not loudly, not dramatically, but enough to let light in. Without thinking, he said, "Come with us." She stiffened. "I can't. Just for tonight," he insisted. "A warm meal, a shower, a bed, no strings." She shook her head, tears falling freely now. "People make promises they don't mean." "I mean this one," he said. "My name is Ethan." After a long pause, she whispered, "I'm Grace." Ethan drove them home. Grace sat in the back, staring out the window as lights passed by, her hands clasped as if praying this wasn't a dream. When they arrived, his son stirred awake. Dad, the boy murmured. Ethan turned, his voice gentle. Hey, buddy, we're home. We have a guest tonight. The boy looked at Grace, then smiled sleepily. Merry Christmas. Grace covered her mouth, breaking into sobs. That night, they ate together. For the first time in years, Ethan felt warmth in his home that had nothing to do with heaters or decorations. He watched Grace laugh softly at his son's jokes, watched his son relax in a way he hadn't seen in months. Grace stayed the night, then another, and then, with Ethan's help, she found work at a local shelter. Slowly, she rebuilt her life, not as charity, but as dignity restored. Months later, on another snowy evening, Ethan stood in the same street where he had first seen her. But this time, he wasn't empty. His home was louder now, fuller. Grace was family, not rescued, but found. And every Christmas Eve after that, Ethan remembered the night a homeless woman stopped him cold, and taught him how to truly live again.